into cycle safety. Now, Oliver is really keen that you listen to his story and his message, because what happened to him when he was 15 has changed his life and his family's life. He was in a rush, he had his helmet with him, but it was on his handlebar and he didn't wear it that day. Something he says he always did, and he was told to do by his mum. So his mum would say to him, make sure you wear your cycle helmet. How many of us as mums can absolutely hear that and yet have seen our kids ride off sometimes with that helmet on the handlebar? I'll put it on. It had a life-changing impact for Oliver. He now goes into schools to talk to them, and he wanted you to hear his story. Now, Ollie's speech has been affected by his accident, so our colleague Trent has revoiced what Ollie had to tell us, but these are his words. Ollie opened up by saying he had a very important message to share.
Hi, my name is Ollie, and I
have a very important message to share about how important a bike helmet is. I'm trying to have helmets legalised, as they're very important at preventing head injuries. Life before my accident was very enjoyable.
I just want to change the law.
So other families do not have to go through the same upset I've put my own through.
I was 15.
I was 15 when it all happened and my life was ruined. I left hospital when I was 17 and I'm now 22. So I've been fighting for this for a while. And I've been to the House of Commons and met my rugby MP.
I
said that they need to change the law surrounding cycle safety, but they said they are not 100% effective. So they wouldn't take on the liability of that. But neither are seatbelts or airbags 100% effective, but they are over 50% effective. So I notice, why are they making one law when they are both as reliable as each other?
I am hoping.
I'm hoping that with my petition, I'll be able to mandate the use of a cycle helmet. I was always told before I went out to put a helmet on, but I was out on my parents' site. A helmet is over 50% effective at preventing different types of head and facial injuries.
What message do you have, Ollie, to people who choose not to wear helmets? What would you like to say to them?
Think about your head.
Think about your head. It's not all about being cool. It's about cycle safety. So just think about your head. I try to enjoy my life to the full. I can't do the things I used to be able to do, but that is all part and parcel of a brain injury. So I just have to live life to the fullest I can. Thank you for listening to my message, and remember to always think about your head and wear a helmet.
That's Ollie Dibsdale speaking to us about his message, and it is so important to him that he shares that message. Emily Cherry is the CEO of the charity Bikeability, and Emily, you've met Ollie yourself, so you know how determined a young man he is.
Oh, what an absolute inspiration Ollie is. I mean, to have taken that moment in his life of tragedy and wanting to turn it into a campaign to reach out, educate and help and support others. So an amazing, amazing young man.
So do you ever see a time where wearing cycle helmets could become law? Could Ollie's campaign work?
So I think Ollie's, as you heard him there with his own voice, you know, he is absolutely determined for this. So I think this is, you know, very much a campaigner who is his heart and head is absolutely in getting this through. So I don't deny that Ollie will do everything he can in his power. What exists in the law already, so the Highway Code, which was only changed sort of around 18 months ago, is very clear in the Highway Code that they recommend and that cyclists should wear a properly, correctly fitted helmet. And that's what we recommend and we also teach under Bikeability. And it's especially important for children as their brains are still developing up to the age of 20. And that's why we will continue to recommend that children wear cycle helmets when they're cycling.
And are cycle helmets the answer?
So I think there's a whole range of things here. It is one part of the picture. We definitely want to see much better cycling infrastructure, so protected cycle lanes, safe routes to school, those types of things, to really encourage more walking and cycling on the roads. We also need to see a change in driver behaviour. Now, one of the reasons that many cyclists will say wearing a helmet is not for them is because there is evidence to suggest that motorists become more aggressive to cyclists who are wearing safety gear like helmets, and that can be a real barrier. So with those types of things like sharing responsibility on the road, behaving respectfully, and protecting cyclists as a motorist is really important as well.
So what can cyclists and, parents in particular, do for their children to help them stay safe on the roads?
So we would say number one is come and get some cycle training. So Bikeability, we've already trained, we train around 500,000 children a year. Children who come through our programme are much better and safer on the roads and more confident because they're using our top tips to be able to see hazards, avoid hazards. We've got to all have conversations about how to properly fit a cycle helmet and to make sure that those cycle helmets are seen as something normal and helpful in this space. I'm also a mum of a teenage son who cycles every day to school. We regularly have the conversation. I'm sure there are times when he takes it off, and that's around peer pressure that exists in wearing a helmet. I've also got a teenage daughter who says to me, "Oh, but it will ruin my hair." These are the types of conversations that we need to always be having with parents and children. And Ollie's example is something to share, to say that this is the absolute extreme here, but wearing a cycle helmet could save your life. It could protect your head. It can protect you from injury, and that's why it's something we will recommend.
And it's, you mentioned Ollie there. I think I'm right in saying you're really keen to include his story within your work, and that's something you'd like to join up with the family to do.
Yeah, so we're looking at information for parents and carers about everything to do with cycling and cycling safety, and we'd love to work with Ollie to really put his story onto our website so that he's got that platform to be able to share directly with parents and carers his story and his experience.
He is a remarkable young man. I know you've obviously met him, you're working with him, and that kind of the kind of tips, I suppose, as parents that we need are, how do you go about having that conversation? Because you don't necessarily want to be that mum that's going, just put your helmet on, you're not leaving the house, so you got the helmet on, and you can hear that kind of naggy voice coming out. But it's really important, as you mentioned, the peer pressure, and you see so often kids who have the bike helmet with them, but it's dangling off their handlebars, which Ollie will say is what he did. That's what had happened. It's getting them to make that connection, isn't it? Do stories like Ollie's help with that?
I think stories like Ollie's do help with that, and that's why we're keen to share that with parents, so they've got that as something to talk to their child about. I wonder how many of us were parents back when clunk, click, and safe belts and safety, and how many arguments we've had as children with our parents about using them, because that was something that came in our generation. I think with anything with talking to your children about safety, it is getting down onto their level and just clearly and calmly explaining why this could be beneficial for them. And that's why our Bikeability top tips are really about helping children to be safe and confident on the road. And we include the recommended use of cycle helmets as part of that. So we're normalising it for all children who come through our programmes.
Yeah, because absolutely, if there's a generation that comes through for whom it's only ever cycle helmets, then I guess that changes, doesn't it? That peer pressure goes eventually.
It absolutely does, and that's where we think we'll continue to recommend these in this space and work with children. But I would really put a call out to all motorists. The highway code has now changed. There is a hierarchy of road users now, with those who have the most potential to harm. So someone in a car or a lorry or a van, to protect those of us on the roads, like cyclists and pedestrians, who have the greatest potential to be harmed. We've got to get much more respect respectful and considerate of each other on the roads. Our top tips will help you to feel confident on the road, but let's make sure that we share the road space respectfully. So then when we can normalise things like helmet use, it doesn't create that fear in cyclists and motorists together. And let's live peacefully on the roads together.
In harmony. Thank you very much. Lovely to talk to you, Emily. Really great to hear from you, the CEO of the charity Bikeability, who have been involved and worked with Ollie and met him and are aware of his campaign